The year is 1998, and the Swedish music duo Smile DK has just released their first ever album, which features a song that would go on to impact two massive countries, a universally loved video game series, a generation of cheap Chinese kids' toys, and this might be a stretch, but I reckon it is the most instantly recognizable song for anyone that grew up on the internet. You may not know the song by name, but you have very likely heard this song before. And while it did become one of the first internet memes, its views and streams are a lot less than you'd expect compared to other songs from this era, and that is because it gained its notoriety in a very unconventional way that I can guarantee you'd never expect unless you already know the insane story behind the song. I'm gonna play it now. I'm not gonna stall. Why would I be stalling? I'm just gonna play the song in 10, 9... So tell me, what are you feeling right now? Nostalgia, confusion, anger because I said you'd recognize the song but maybe actually you didn't? These are all valid emotional responses to the masterpiece that is Butterfly by Smile DK, but for me, nostalgia definitely takes the cake. I'm sure my fellow internet kids can relate to hearing this song all over the web during the early 2010s because it really felt like it was everywhere. But how did it get everywhere? When Smile DK released their first album Smile in 1998, there was basically no background information about them, to the point where you'd suspect them of being industry plants, and whether they actually were or just had amazing luck, this album absolutely blew up in popularity. But strangely not in Sweden where the band originated, no, rather China and Japan, possibly for its references in the lyrics and music video to East Asian culture, which we'll touch on later, but more likely because it slaps. And I think it slaps, because I've had this song in my playlist for over a year. That's how I got this video idea. The album apparently sold like crazy in China. I mean, just look at this big crowd. And in Japan, the album sold gold and Butterfly reached #1 on the Japanese dance charts. Again, Smile DK didn't exist until this album came out, so how they were instantly able to reach this level of fame is very much unknown. The band would go on to get signed by EMI Music Japan, which allowed them to give Butterfly a cool looking music video, which I think at this point is a very famous piece of internet history. Meanwhile, in 1998, the Japanese video games company Konami would have a top secret business meeting in the dark of night on the 700th floor of their Tokyo headquarters, where they would discuss their new video game release for console and arcade, Dance Dance Revolution. Everyone loves a good bit of DDR, the game where you dance to music in real life based on the arrows you see on the screen, and I'm sure you never saw this coming, but the reason this is relevant is because Konami used Butterfly by Smile DK as one of the songs you can dance to in the first ever release of the game, which was huge, basically pushing the song to anyone in Japan that hadn't heard it yet. From this point until around 2005, Smile DK was constantly doing promo in various East Asian countries, mostly China, basically just riding the high from their massive hit song. And it's not like they didn't have other big songs like Boys, Coconut, and Golden Sky. But to the people in East Asia, Smile DK was a lot like what Foster the People are to us. Not exactly one-hit wonders, but most people have only heard Pumped Up Kicks. I personally recommend Walk with a Big Stick. And before we move on to the very strange fate of this song, and the reason you've probably heard it, I would just like to ask a question to the class. Is it weird that this song blew up in Japan, of all places? At first glance, you'd think, no, that makes perfect sense. The song is literally about Japan. But that's the thing that confuses me, because the instrumentation is very traditionally Japanese, and the lyrics even say, I've been searching for a man all across Japan just to find my samurai, I know fine well that if an American, for example, came to Scotland and made a song about how they play the bagpipes, eat their haggis, and love their wee Scottish lassie fae Glasgow, no one would listen to it. In fact, that might just be the least of their worries. So it's just weird to me that Japan fell head over heels for a song with a very westernized view of Japanese culture. Maybe there's some kind of novelty in two good-looking foreign pop stars, or maybe it just slapped and I'm overthinking it a lot. Also, I've seen a lot of people saying that the song is racist for its cultural appropriation, and honestly, just stop. it's not that deep. Smile DK's first album, Smile, took inspiration from a bunch of different countries, not just Japan. And even if that wasn't the case, I don't think it's racist to take a bunch of things that are generally understood to be Japanese and put them in a Japanese-themed song. Sure, it may not be the most sophisticated view of Japanese culture, but I really don't think that's what they were going for. It's just a fun song with a Japanese theme, and again, it's not that deep. There are two main reasons that people around my age have all heard this song, and maybe it's because you had one of these. These are cheap Chinese electronic toys that were made in their millions and sold all over the world. Most commonly, they came in the form of knockoff Barbie phones, but there are so many variations of this toy that a very niche corner of the internet just refers to them as butterfly phones, because you guessed it, whenever one of the millions of children around the world pressed any button on this phone, it would play this sound. Now, researching this part of the video was very difficult because none of the toys had any kind of branding or gave away any information about the company that made them, which was less than ideal. But I did manage to find one of the old websites for one of the companies that used to manufacture these phones, and when I did find it, I thought, oh yes, I've cracked the case, baby. But actually, I hadn't, because this tells us nothing about why the song Butterfly was used.
您好，您所拨打的号码是空号，请核对后再拨。
My theory is that some mysterious Chinese company made their money off of selling parts to toy manufacturers, so it would make sense that they would use a very popular song in the sound chip for most of these toys. And by the way, they definitely did not get permission to use this song. I'm sure they understood perfectly that dragging an anonymous Chinese company to court for copyright stuff would be a pretty difficult task for EMI Music Japan. On top of this, Veronica Almqvist, the only current member of Smile DK, said in an interview that she had no idea that these phones were being made, but she's not mad about it because it was good promotion for the music. I think this is a really cool way of looking at things because she's absolutely right. These knockoff phones gave her song a unique legacy that resulted in millions more people hearing Butterfly for the first time. And these phones are also the only reason I can think of that the song is popular in Western countries. Sadly, I don't remember if I ever had one of these phones, and the one that I bought for this video plays the wrong song. I bought the wrong cheap Chinese garbage. The second reason you may have heard this song is because it's an internet meme. Love a good internet meme. Both 10 years ago when everybody realized they had the same plastic knockoff phones and it became one of the first meme songs, or more recently on apps like TikTok where people are once again bonding over the memory of their cheap plastic knockoff Barbie phones. And I think that's a really nice thing. Because of the internet, it's very easy for this generation to be nostalgic over the same thing, but for such a large group of people to collectively reminisce over something that they experienced at a really, really young age before they could probably even use the internet, I think that's really special. That's so cool, and I don't know how many more times we're gonna see something like that. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm very grateful that you were here to see it. As always, I'll be responding to every single comment, and I sincerely hope that you have a nice day. Your girl called me on the butterfly phone. I paid $1 million for the butterfly phone. Crashed the whip, so I guess I gotta fly home. They be sleeping on J-Cam, I'm like, why, bro?